I'm 34 years old and I'm going through a situation I never thought would happen to me. I've been with my partner, Mark, 38, for nearly 9 years. We've lived together for most of those years and we've built a life I thought was solid. We've had discussions about marriage and kids, even looked at rings a couple of times. He's been my everything, or so I thought. I'm not the kind of person who checks their partner's phone or logs into their accounts. Never had the reason to. I trust him, or I did trust him. But it all started to unravel when I decided to look at his iCloud because my own was glitching. I was too impatient to fix it myself, so I figured I'd just check his for a minute. It was then that I saw a text message notification pop up. The name was familiar. It was a woman from his past, someone I had heard him mention a few times in passing. I never thought anything of it, but for some reason, in that moment, something inside me just snapped. I clicked on it. What I found destroyed me. It was a series of messages from her, but these messages weren't from a casual, "Hey, how have you been?" kind of friend. They were intimate, steamy, sexy. "I miss the way you make me feel. I can't wait to feel you again." And then, "I love our secret life." My heart sank. At first, I didn't know what to think. It didn't make sense. Mark had always been so reassuring, so loving. He would never cheat, right? He had been the one to convince me not to worry about those silly insecurities of mine. But here it was, the proof that he had been having an affair, not just a fling, a full-blown, secret, second life that I knew nothing about. It wasn't just about physical intimacy, it was emotional, too. He had invested so much in this woman, and I wasn't the only one who thought he was mine. I was shocked, devastated, and heartbroken all at once. I took a deep breath, tried to calm myself. Maybe it was a one-time thing. Maybe it had just been some stupid mistake. I decided to dig deeper, searching his messages. I was horrified to find that this had been going on for months. They even made plans to meet in secret, sending each other pictures, telling each other how much they needed each other. Then, a chilling message caught my eye. "I'll always come back to you. No one will ever know what we have." That was it. My heart shattered. I confronted him that night. I waited until he came home from work, heart racing, and I sat him down on the couch. I could barely breathe as I demanded to know what was going on. His face went pale. I could see him trying to scramble for an excuse, but there was no getting around it. The evidence was right there in front of him. He tried to deny it at first. He told me it was nothing, that he had been distracted, and that it was all in the past. But I could see the guilt in his eyes. He was caught. After a tense silence, he finally admitted it. Yes, he had been seeing someone else. Yes, it had been going on for months. Yes, he loved her. And yes, he had been planning to leave me for her. I was crushed. But then, the real bombshell dropped. He told me that this woman wasn't just anyone. She was his wife. I couldn't breathe. I felt like the world was spinning. My heart was racing in my chest, but I couldn't make sense of anything. He had been married this entire time to her, the woman he had been lying to me about for months, the woman I had never suspected, the one who was part of his secret life. I had been the one who was the side chick. I had been living a lie for almost a decade, but it didn't stop there. I soon discovered that his wife, the one who had no idea about me, was pregnant with their second child. They were planning to start a family, while I had been blissfully unaware, thinking we were building a future. I was furious. I wanted revenge. I wanted to expose everything he had done. I wanted to hurt him the way he had hurt me. But more than that, I wanted him to feel the same gut-wrenching loss and betrayal that I was feeling. I started planning. I spent hours going over everything, finding out where she worked, learning about their life together. The thought of her, the wife he was pretending to be faithful to while secretly sleeping with me, made me burn with rage. And I had to admit, it felt like sweet revenge to think about exposing their perfect little life to the world. But then, something shifted. A few days after our confrontation, he came to me, apologetic, desperate. He begged me not to leave him. He told me everything would be better if I just forgave him. He promised he'd break things off with his wife and come back to me, that we would be together forever. But even as he spoke the words, I didn't believe him. I had seen the real him, the man who had been living a double life, the man who had gaslit me, used me, and betrayed me in the worst possible way. And still, a part of me wanted back. I missed the version of him that had been so loving, so attentive, the man I thought I knew. That's when the emotional manipulation began. He would text me sweet messages, tell me he couldn't live without me. He'd show up at my door, asking for forgiveness, bringing me flowers. I kept telling myself that I wasn't the kind of person to fall for this. But every time I saw him standing there with that regret in his eyes, I wavered. I felt guilty. Part of me felt sorry for him, even though he was the one who had done this to me. But every time I saw him, I knew in the back of my mind that he was still married. He was still lying. And his love wasn't reality, was just part of the manipulation. I couldn't stay. I had to leave. I broke up with him, but not before I made him feel the weight of everything he had done, I sent his wife an anonymous message, giving her the truth. She deserved to know, to have the full picture. I couldn't carry that secret anymore. He was furious when he found out, and I could see the desperation in his eyes when he begged me to come back, telling me that everything had been a mistake. But I knew better. I wasn't the fool anymore. This story isn't over. I'm still recovering from this betrayal. I'm still figuring out what's next for me. But one thing's for sure. I will never let a man make me feel like I'm worth less than I am ever again. I've learned to love myself again, despite the pain. And while I'm still angry, I'm also grateful for the lessons this has taught me. I'll never let someone make me feel small. So, what should I do next? Am I wrong for exposing everything? Or should I have kept it to myself and moved on quietly? I don't even know where to go from here, but I do know that I deserve better. I'm here because I need to get this off my chest, and I don't know if I'm going insane or finally waking up. I, 33F, was with my boyfriend Nate, 35M, for 4 years. We lived together for 3. From the outside, everything looked perfect, was charming, thoughtful, incredibly organized, and people always said we were goals. But inside our apartment, there was a different story, and I didn't even realize I was living inside a slow-burning nightmare until I found a burned phone hidden behind a loose bathroom tile. That's when everything began to unravel. It all started with the damn chore chart. He had introduced it as a shared responsibility tracker, and I went along with it because I figured it would help us keep things fair. But slowly, it turned into this tool he wielded like a weapon. He would rate my efforts, give me sarcastic performance reviews every Sunday, and if I pushed back, he'd say, "You're overreacting. I'm just trying to make us better." I thought maybe I was overreacting. I had started doubting myself a lot by then. But then the list got longer. Expectations grew. I started doing more than my share cleaning, laundry, cooking every night, running errands, taking care of his dog that he suddenly didn't have time for. He, meanwhile, spent more time working late. When I brought it up, he told me I was being paranoid and jealous of his success. I didn't know I was being gaslit so slowly that I thought I was losing my grip on reality. But then came the night I found the phone. He had gone on a business trip to Chicago. I was cleaning the bathroom when I dropped my earring, and it rolled under the vanity. While reaching for it, I noticed a cracked tile, and curiosity got the better of me. Behind the tile was a small cavity, and inside was a burner phone, fully charged, still warm. It had messages, dozens. Some from a woman named M, others from someone saved only as Baby W. There were receipts, coordinates, photos, messages saying things like, "Can't wait to see you this weekend." She still doesn't suspect a thing. "Baby, remember not to leave any of your stuff in the apartment this time." I told her she's crazy again, lol. Works every time. My hands were shaking. I read until my vision blurred. That's when the story really begins. So, I'm a university student and my school year is coming to an end. Because of that, my friends wanted to meet up and just chill in one of their dorms and chill because they missed my company and I haven't seen them in a while. I'm an 18-year-old female with a partner that I have been seeing for over 5 months, and my friends are majority male, so out of respect of my partner, I stopped going to their dorms to hang out, because it's the last time I'll probably see them for a while. I decided to go and chill with them for a bit, since I had time to spare. During our hangout sessions, we would usually smoke, listen to music, and play games. I had stopped smoking for a while, which they knew of, but even with that knowledge, they then proceeded to peer pressure me into smoking. I caved and told them I would take 2 pulls of their pen because I know how much I can handle and I know my limits. I take the first pull and everything was fine. We were just chilling, singing songs, and listening to music. After a while, one of the people in the room asked me if I was hungry, which I said no to, and he then goes to ask my friend if he was hungry as well. He also said no. The guy that asked then said he was hungry and said that he was gonna get something to eat. I told him that we could all go because I didn't feel comfortable being left alone in the room with my other friend out of respect for my partner. But he said that it would be quick and told me to stay because I wasn't hungry. I said okay, and he left. Because I was left alone with my friend, we were talking, but I then moved to another part of the room. That's when he started to tell me to take my second pull, which I told him no to, but he kept persisting that I promised to take 2 pulls. So I told him I would, but I was thirsty. I looked away from 1 second to grab my water, and I'm most positive that he changed the concentration or potency of the weed that would come out of the pen, because when I came back to take the pull, it immediately went to my head, and I felt like I wasn't there. He sees that I wasn't alright and asks me if I was about to green out. I said no, I just needed fresh air. So I began to head towards the door. He then proceeded to grab me very tightly on the arm and drag me back towards the room. Because of the weed, I felt very weak and unable to do anything, so I told him to stop, and he was hurting me. He then proceeded to press me up against the wall and put his hands down my pants. I told him to stop and that I had a boyfriend, and he told me he didn't care. I managed to break free and move his arm away, but he firmly grabbed my face and told me to stop. I told him to leave me alone and I needed fresh air. B, He wasn't listening to a word I said, and he just kept grabbing me and dragging me towards the bed.